So, yeah, first I feel like I missed out on the Ilia Topuria Josh Emmett hype, and I'm late with coming with this, but nevertheless, I want to talk about how impressive Topuria looked. Now, I don't want to harp on about this fight too much because obviously it was a couple of weeks ago now, but yeah, I haven't put anything out really, so let's get to that one first. Now, Topuria looked amazing against Emmett. Now, Emmett is as tough as they come, and Topuria did everything but finish him in that fight, right? And arguably, was it the second round? Was a significant round. Is that the round that was a 10-7? Now I know there was a 10-7 round scored, the fourth ever only 10-7 round scored in the UFC history. So that just goes to show how dominant he was in that fight. And Emmett's no slouch. Emmett's a great fighter. He was fighting for the interim title just one fight prior to this Topuria fight. So Topuria to come in and win in the way he did has just immediately put him in, contender talk. And, I understand after the fight that he called for a title shot next, unless he would be fighting Holloway in Spain, I think was his call out. Now, I'm not mad at a Holloway fight next. I know it kind of seems like Holloway is. If you get past Holloway, then you get to fight Volk because of the levels that there currently is in terms of ability in that division. But I think when you perform like that against someone like Emmett, you can skip Holloway and go straight for a title fight. But me personally, and my selfish opinion, I think he should fight someone in the top five next, i.e., Holloway or potentially Brian Ortega. Because Brian Ortega's not been active for a while. Now, I'm not sure if he's been out injured or what, but he's an interesting fight for Topuria because of his jiu-jitsu. Now, I think Topuria smashes him on the feet, but I think if Ortega can get the fight to the ground, I think they're pretty even in terms of the fight on the ground. Now, Ortega might be more specialized in jiu-jitsu, but I think with the way that Topuria wrestles and the way that he strikes on downed opponents and stuff like that, and his ground and pound, I think it kind of evens the playing field a little bit. So if Ortega can get that fight to the ground, he definitely has a shot at winning, and I think that gives Ortega, the hype that he once had prior to going into that Holloway fight. But yeah, I think Holloway versus Topuria is such a great fight just to see what would happen because both men like to fight on the front foot. Both men will be fighting for the center of the cage, and both men have incredible boxing. Now, I was super impressed with Topuria's boxing against Emmett. I was fully expecting Topuria to maybe try and wrestle. Now, we saw in the later rounds some of the scrambles. I think it was the fifth round. Some of the scrambles were so pleasing to watch. I was kind of hoping to see more of that early on in the fight, but the way Topuria was not only offensively boxing, but defensively boxing as well. I mean, obviously he got hit a couple of times with Emmett's power shots, but there was nothing really significant. He didn't get rocked. He didn't really get caught clean. The way he was moving in and out in his head movement was just, yeah, it was amazing, man. I mean, Topuria is certainly something special, and he's what 26 years old. If he's not 26, he's 28. He's one of the two. I think he's 26. I mean, who else? Who else has looked that good at 26? I mean, McGregor was champion at 26, right? But I mean, I guess he was dominating too, but undefeated, 26 years old, he just impressively put away one of the better guys in the division. I think Topuria is the real deal. And I said this for a while. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it on earlier podcast episodes and stuff, but Topuria is, in my opinion, a future champion. It's not a matter of if he's going to be champion. It's, he's going to be champion eventually and probably soon. Now, is he the guy to dethrone Volk? I don't know. I mean, depending on when Topuria gets a title shot, if Volkanovski is still the champion, you have to take into consideration Volkanovski's age. He's 35 now, probably in his last couple of fights has been performing at the peak. So eventually these peak performances are going to start to filter out. How many years left does Volkanovski have at the very top? Because Topuria is only going to keep getting better. So there's eventually going to be that crossover moment where Volkanovski starts to decline to the point where Topuria is on the rise. So depending on if Volkanovski is still champion when Topuria fights for it, I believe that Topuria could be one of the guys to certainly give Volk a very, very good close fight. Now, it all depends what the UFC want to do with him. Because if they put him in against Max, he's got to get past Max, right? And I don't think that's set in stone. I'd like to see the odds on that. If there's any odds out, let me know, because I'll probably forget to check after this. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think now. Is Topuria's win over Emmett more impressive than Yair Rodriguez's win over Emmett? Because obviously Yair Rodriguez finished him. Now, looking at that fight with Topuria and looking at how tough he is, you've got to respect the fact that Rodriguez was able to put him away. But is the way that Topuria dominated him over 25 minutes more impressive? Because in my eyes, it is. I think it's more impressive to do what Topuria did over that amount of time than what Rodriguez did. But yeah, what a fight, what a performance.